So, hello everybody, it's Owen Turner from United by Design for York Design Week Sunday sessions. We are here with Ben Watkinson, one of the amazing directors from GF Smith. GF Smith have been fantastic both for this year, committing to Sunday sessions, but also were very much involved last year for our inaugural York Design Week. So welcome, Ben. Hi.
Hey, thanks. Yeah.
It's really almost been a year.
I know it's so strange, isn't it, that it was a year ago that we were stood up in the, was it part of the university we were in?
Yeah, York St John.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that talk. I can't believe that year's kind of flown with everything that's going on. It feels a bit strange, but yeah, pleased to be here.
It's still raining. Looking outside the window.
Yeah, the weather was the same, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for being part of this year's. It's great to continue that relationship, and really excited to hear some of the new things that have been going on with Jeff Smith, but also maybe some of the things that we spoke about and saw last year for those people who are new to GF Smith potentially. The floor is yours. We're going to just open up the presentation and you can crack on, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end with the questions that we've been asking everybody, just to link it back to York Design Week.
Okay, great. Let's share this then. The first thing I just want to comment on is as we mentioned briefly before we came live, is your very creative background and my very plain hull-based office background. I should have come kind of maybe a bit more prepared for that, but you're representing GF Smith better than I am there with the collection book. So
undeliberate placement.
Right, I'm going to share this screen then. Let's go. Okay, so I think the first thing I wanted to do is obviously just say thank you for inviting us to be part again. I always like to start off by saying this, and I don't think I'll ever get bored of saying it. We're a small hull-based company, really, that's been going since 1885, which is an incredible amount of time. So when we look at what's going on in the world right now, you know, we've seen as a business so many different things and so many different challenges. Without the support of the creative community in whatever guise that is, we wouldn't even exist, and we know people have choice. So I always like to start off by just saying thank you to those people like yourself, Owen, who kind of are fans and support us, and hopefully we'll be here for another 100 years from today. So I just want to start off by saying thank you for that. So what I wanted to do today is take the opportunity, I think, to run through our latest collection, which we tried to launch in this really great, creative, fantastic way nationally. And I think, I can't remember the dates because so much has been going on, but I think the plan was to do that maybe 2 or 3 days before we went into a national lockdown. I can't remember. You'll have received an invite, and I guess to one of the events.
I got the invite, yeah.
Yeah, and we were so excited, and I remember the conversations here. We were kind of, let's do it. Let's just carry on. Let's do it. People want a great time. Let's just carry on. And then obviously we went into lockdown, so we couldn't do it. So we went from being really, really geared up and full of energy to kind of launch the new collection to kind of not quite sure how to do it. So this has been a completely new experience for us, and you know, a lot of people might not have seen the new collection yet. We've tried to get it out into kind of designers' hands as fast as we can, but yeah, it's a great opportunity to just run through it. So I'll start and just jump in, Owen, if you've got any kind of creative questions you need me to answer. I'll try my best, mate. So yeah, it's the new collection book, and with that we've completely revamped our website as well. The idea is that the two are going to work a little bit more hand in hand. So I'll just take you through some of our kind of old collections, really, to give you an idea of where we've come from. The collection for GF Smith is something that happens or the redesign, should I say, of the collection is something that happens every 3 to 5 years in the main. It's a huge piece of work. It's something that we're incredibly passionate about. and I'm really proud of as well, actually, because so many hours go into the design of it, which I can briefly talk about, and paper selection and layout. But it's also something that's been around for a very, very long time. So it is, as this slide kind of says, really, it's the evolution of an icon, and people have their favorite. So we were one of the first kind of, I guess, creative paper companies to introduce the chip charts, which some people still absolutely love now and wish we'd reintroduce. So I'm sorry we don't do that anymore, but you know, they were great. So the kind of box, which was designed by C, Brian Edmondson and his team at C Design in London, and that was actually one of my personal favourites. If I'm honest, that just completely blew me away when I first saw that. And I guess everyone has, as well as having a favourite, everyone has a logical way about how they choose things, that kind of form and function side of how their kind of brain works. And this just completely worked for me, in the sense it was beautifully designed, which it's from G.F. Smith, it's going to be right, hopefully. So it looked amazing, but also the way that the box worked in terms of picking things, you could pick colours and embossings, it was just fab. So I really enjoyed that. Obviously, then we moved from an agency perspective, we moved from C Design over to Maythorpe. Ben Parker and the rest of the Maythorpe team down in London as well, actually. And Maythorpe completely rebranded our business, and with that, we completely changed the way we felt paper should be specified. So we'd gone through chip charts and we'd gone through the box of different selection possibilities, into actually realizing that the way paper is specified really is, and paper itself, we should open it up as almost like a bit of an encyclopedia, but it should almost be in one with enough samples available for you to see every single paper in our collection. And it should be a book. It should be a book of paper. You know, that's what books are. So with that, we developed the big red iconic collection, which is 5 years old now. And that was amazing to see that on the shelves of so many studios. I mean, it really had amazing impact. And we won, I remember being down in London for the night that we won with Maythorpe, the D&AD black pencil for the rebrand of G.F. Smith. And I remember at the time sitting there, and we had Apple on a table not too far away from us, and they started talking about this amazing business, and you can see all these Apple watches were flashing as people were moving their wrists, and you think, well, Apple have definitely they've got to win this, right? I mean, what are we doing here? And they started talking about this small company in Hull, and you realise, oh yeah, we're going to win this award. And it completely changed, I think, us as a business, our perception, you know, out there, both creatively and with many people, really. But it certainly changed the way we felt, changed the way people specified paper. So what we decided to do...
Sorry, just to interrupt, can I just ask if you saw an uplift commercially in the way that people were specifying, or was it just the way that they were interacting with it? I mean, from a kind of a business perspective, in the way that you were kind of getting in orders and...
Yeah, so if I'll just go back, what we've always found, whether you go back to this first slide here, or whether it's the box, or whether it's the kind of the big red collection, generally speaking, I think it's probably fair to say that we don't see commercially spikes in orders when we introduce a new collection. And that, I think, is primarily because, and you'll know this kind of way better than me, Owen, in terms of the length of time creative projects can take. You know, we introduce a new collection and there might be an amazing new paper that as a designer you'll see and you'll really want to use, but you might not be able to take that project from design concept through to production for, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, 6 weeks.
Well, I think based on our samples cupboard, and we've kind of chucked some out, not because we didn't want to keep them, it was just space. but we've got, I mean, we've still got the C box.
Yeah, great.
You know, we've got reference material going way back, and you know, quite a bit of that is GF Smith, just because you really would like to use that at some point, even if the paper might not exist anymore.
Yeah, I think that's right. So we don't see spikes in sales. What we might see spikes in maybe sample requests. Someone might go through in the studio. You might go through the new collection and go, actually, there's a really nice paper we might have imported from Japan, and you might want to see more samples of that, or you might want to see it in different weights or different colors. So we'll see that potentially. It's a huge investment for us. So in terms of the collection here, we produced of the Red Book, we produced about 40,000, and we've done exactly the same of the new collection here, which I'll walk you through in a moment. So it's still something for us that we concentrate on just all the time. I mean, we've only just I guess dropped this into the creative sector now. There's a group of us who are already working through, well, what will our ranges look like in 3 to 5 years time, and what will the collection look like in 3 to 5 years time. You know, it's an 18-month minimum design project. I think that's certainly what kind of Ben has indicated to me before at Maidthorpe, and I think it's a good 18 months worth of print production and collation. There's a huge amount of paper involved in obviously making it. So big project for us. So yeah, that's probably where we see some kind of spike when we introduce it. In terms of kind of the new collection, I thought it'd be quite interesting just to throw some of these slides in, because one of the main questions we get asked when we take a collection into a studio is, firstly, how is that made? How is it put together? Who's printed it? How is it collated? And why did you get to that size? So I just thought this was quite interesting, really. What we've done this time is effectively kept the same design, really, but we've reduced the scale of the book by about 20%. And if you actually put the book in your hand, what we've been able to do is create a book which actually contains more sheets of paper. There's more ranges of paper. The spine is wider, yet actually, because we've reduced the size by about 20%, it actually can be manipulated much more easily. So it feels great to actually put it in the hand and flick through. But by reducing the size by 20%, even though we've put more ranges in there, we've probably saved about 167,000 sheets of paper from being used in the production process, which is huge in kind of many instances, really. You can see what we've done in terms of initial sketches. This is kind of what Maidthorpe looked at, really. We still wanted it to be iconic. So the difference this time is, whereas with the Red Book you had GF Smith on the spine, on this book you've got GF Smith on all sides. We really wanted it to still be something that was instantly recognizable in a studio, and also a bit fun. You know, just having colours that popped out. You know, that if you're looking for some paper samples quickly, if you're in a studio, you can just reach behind you and hopefully see it, you know, on a bookshelf, like I can see it on yours right now. And that's something that we still wanted. We still wanted it to be iconic. We've got people who get this through the post, and they're amazing. They're real fans of GF Smith, and they'll publish it on Instagram, and they'll be showing us how they're using it. And that's not something that, you know, we don't design things with Maidthorpe, we don't mind, but that's the bar we've set. And, you know, I think we work on the basis at GF Smith that if we can't do something that is absolutely at the top of its game creatively, then let's just not do it. Let's not do it. It's got to be brilliant, or let's not do it at all. And that actually puts a huge amount of pressure on us, because we'll go back and forth and back and forth. Is this good enough? Is it not good enough? But sometimes you've just got to trust in simplicity. And paper is a really beautiful thing. You know, when you think about the story of paper and what it's about, it's a beautiful thing. It's a simple thing. And I think by keeping the same format, we've been able to create something that it's got that form and function absolutely perfectly right, we think. But you know, I'm sure there's always going to be room to improve on these things, but we really feel like that's right for where we need to be creatively.
I think for me, the size was almost a shock, a change in size.
Or the change to go smaller.
To go smaller,
yeah.
But instantly, as you said, holding it, you understood completely, both from a creative designer's perspective, why it had been done. You just knew like that. And, you know, in terms of Made Thought's approach and the way that they look at design and sustainability and the ecology of obviously and strategy of business, I suppose, relationships.
Yeah.
But I think that there was absolutely that kind of understanding of absolutely why you'd done it, but it hadn't lost its impact.
Yeah, and I think that's really great to hear, because that's effectively what we were trying to do. You know, we literally sat there and thought, well, we're adding more papers to this range, to the range. We are adding more ranges, so this is going to get wider. Well, how wide can you take it? You know, and you could have ended up with, you know, I remember my grandfather used to have these massive encyclopedias. Encyclopedia Britannicas were like absolutely huge thing. You know, you could theoretically end up with something like that. Well, that's, you know, it just gets too much. But I think the way that we've been able to do it and Made Thought's design concept has kind of really worked. And again, these are just initial sketches, so it's similar, but it's kind of slightly different, primarily by size. Just to give an idea of how it's made, so roughly speaking, 4.5 million printed sheets of paper. Takes about 12 months to produce, probably about 18 really. So much of this is done by hand. So there's 190,000 collated sheets that are all brought together by hand. This is all done at Pure Print, by the way, down on the south coast, who've worked with us for a long time in producing collection books. There's 3 coats of glue applied at 3 different stages. You'll notice the thumb cut's still there. That's all done manually. So this really is a piece of creative print that is designed and manufactured with a lot of handwork, all in the UK, and that's something as a whole-based business that we're really proud of. None of this is getting outsourced overseas. Yes, we import paper, obviously, but this is all UK production, and you can see there it's cut using a handheld hydraulic tool. So when you think we produce 40,000 of these, you know, there's just a huge amount of work, assembly to finish there in the UK. So I guess if I just take you through a few of the new things, a few of the new papers, I won't go into massive detail on it. If anyone's kind of listening to this or watching this and they think, actually, I don't have a collection book, hopefully I can kind of tease you enough into wanting to pick up the phones of GF Smith and order one, and we'll get you one as soon as we possibly can. But I'll walk you through some of the kind of new paper ranges, if I may. So Colour Plan's our flagship. It's iconic. Everyone knows Colour Plan. It's an incredible range of papers. What we've done is added 5 new colours, which are really beautiful, including the hot pink that you see on screen. And we've added 2 new weights, so 2 really heavy weights have been added as well. The great thing about Colour Plan as a range for me is, one, it's been around for an incredibly long time. So from a branding perspective, you can use that paper and know that the colour that you're using is still going to be there in 2 or 3 years' time for brand consistency. It's incredibly versatile, so you can pretty much use it for everything from packaging through to magazine work or really fine printing. But with adding new colours and new weights and the embossings we've got, it really is a kind of the paper range that will always be in our kind of portfolio, but it's one that's always going to evolve. It's never stagnant, really. So there's some lovely new colours: hot pink, chartreuse, rust, slate. They're just amazing colours, and I'd encourage everyone to kind of reach out to us and get some samples of those. But we've also added self-adhesive. Now we've actually been selling this for about maybe a year, maybe a bit more, but it's the first time it's been in our collection. I'm quite excited about this because what used to happen with ColourPlan is that people would make it into a self-adhesive themselves, and it would go to a printer, and the printer might get a laminated self-adhesive sheet and stick the two together, a bit Blue Peter-ish, which is great and it works, but it doesn't kind of reach our level of quality. So we wanted to bring that in-house. So what we've done with ColourPlan is produce label in 15 colours, and it's one weight. It's in 100 gram with a self-adhesive backing sheet. But that opens up so many different things. So now, from a perspective of colour, you can use one shade of ColourPlan for packaging. You could use the same shade of ColourPlan for your marketing material. You could use the same shade of ColourPlan for a label to stick the packaging down with. So it becomes an all-encompassing range that really can fit every branding point, we think. So yeah, we're really excited about that. That's fairly new for us still. A bit of a tease about something that's brand new that isn't in the collection, that we're not even ready to launch yet. So I probably shouldn't even be talking to you about this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Is Colour Flute. Now, Colour Flute is a product that was around in the 80s for GF Smith. And it was okay, it was fine. It was basically corrugated paper that was being used for bits of packaging. What we've done is technically different. So rather than having one piece of corrugated paper or cardboard laminated or stuck to another sheet out of different materials, what we've done is produce a product whereby we have a sheet corrugated, and then to either side of that is ColourPlan. And that's all produced in-house, in Hull, to order. The great thing about that is that, again, from a branding perspective, it's a really, really beautiful product in terms of colour. It's a really beautiful product in terms of how we manufacture that here. It also means that it helps brands, companies, businesses decide not to use plastic for packaging. It's a really robust, safe way of sending packages out, e-commerce packages, whatever they might be. And that's actually the product that the collection book will have come in when you've received it. Like I say, it's not ready for launch yet. It will be very, very soon.
I was going to say, when's it due?
It should be ready. Depends whether I'm talking to you with my sales hat on or whether I'm talking to you with the production director's hat on.
Probably I'd go with production.
Yeah, I know. That's what they always tell me. Get told off for that. I would say this is going to be ready in the next, this side of Christmas. This side of Christmas. Whether we choose to launch it then or not, I'm really not sure.
It's a bit of a game changer, really, for you guys, because you've always done. I mean, we've worked with you on a number of projects where we've used ColourPlan in particular with packaging development, but this is another really interesting layer for you guys, as you said. Rather than using plastic, just as one example, but that continuity that you can get through both printed material, flat work, but also then going to the 3 dimensions is fantastic.
I mean, it's thicker. I would say as a product, if you took 700 gram ColourPlan, this is slightly thicker than that, I think, from memory. You can have any color combination either side, or the same color, or you can have it one-sided. We can go heavier than that. We've been primarily using 135 or 175 either side. You can go heavier if you want. Again, he says without the production guys being in the room.
Oh, like that. Oh.
I know, yeah. Richard's going to see this downstairs and go, what has he done again? But yeah, I'm really excited about that product because it did really well in the 80s when it was nowhere near as good as this, and we're producing it all in-house in Hull. So we'll start it off. We'll see where we get to with it. But I actually think creatively, when a studio can get something like this from us, you're still talking about a minimum of 25 sheets. It's not massive. You can use this for anything, whether that's packaging or actually even whether you want to do a business card or a menu or whatever it might be. There's lots of different things you could use it for. So that's coming very soon. Extract is in the collection for the first time. Been selling it for a while. The only products in the UK, the only coloured range of paper to be manufactured using recycled post-consumer coffee cups. So coffee cups we're collecting in collaboration with our paper maker in the Lake District from places like Costa Coffee and McDonald's. They're being cleaned and washed. They're being recycled in a manner that we take the plastic liner and the paper, and we separate those out in a coffee cup. The plastic liner goes off to make garden furniture or electric cabling, and the paper comes in to make extract. So it's a truly unique product, and it's a zero waste process. Very different colours to colour plan. There's 10 colours in that range. That's something again we hope to do much more with, and it's one of the, if I'm honest, it's one of the only products that I can remember us bringing in going, actually, I guess the strapline would be, it's a product we hope to discontinue, because then we've kind of made a bit of a difference. Talk about a badly designed, the coffee cup, generally speaking, is a badly designed thing. You can't recycle it. It doesn't work. So we just hope that this in a small way is a bit of something that Jeff Smith can do that makes a bit of difference. At the same time, it's a beautiful range of papers, and the colour palette is really nice as well.
And just I'm going to do a little shout out for ourselves here, but we worked with you guys with Extract last year with the program. Okay. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do the program this year because of obviously the COVID restrictions and trying to reduce our footprint as well. But I really like this range of papers. I think conceptually it's really great, and it's funny, as you mentioned, that irony in it. If it's truly successful, then in theory it won't exist.
Yeah.
Further along the line, but it's a lovely set of papers.
Yeah, no, thanks, Owen. I mean, I think one of the challenges we've got at the moment, if I'm honest, is actually getting hold of the coffee cups, because no one's going into major cities, and we can't. I don't know what the footfall is in coffee shops, but it must be significantly down. So yeah, that's one of the challenges we're having right now. But it's a great range, and I think one thing that I've seen throughout the last few months is that actually we should all be really much more focused on how we can reduce our impact and how sustainable a product is, and the circular economy is something that we should be much more kind of in tune with, really. So yeah, Extract it's a lovely range. Jeff Smith Max is something that's new. We launched this again just before lockdown. Great timing. I think we produced about 10,000 or so of these amazing swatches and didn't even get a chance to get them out to the market. So it's in the new collection, but this is also a swatch that's available to order as well to anyone who's not seen this. Max is a really unique product. It's a white paper, but it comes in two variances in terms of shade. One's a white matte, which is really crisp and bright, and the other one's a natural, which is a soft cream. 100 grams, 250 gram. It's a really bulky paper. So theoretically, if you were using a 130 or a 150 gram for a brochure or a magazine, you could drop down to a 100 or a 115 gram this product and still retain exactly the same feel and thickness. Prints beautifully. It feels like an uncoated, yet it prints like a coated. It's a really amazing product. As you can see from the swatch, what we've tried to do is demonstrate how well it takes solid blacks, and also how well it'll take metallics and fluorescents as well. It's a really great paper that we're really excited about. Another white paper from us, and it feels weird to talk about white paper because we're so kind of synonymous with colour, but Gmund Blocker is brand new. We've got a long established relationship with Gmund, who are a paper mill over in Bavaria. 20 years, I think we've been dealing with Florian Köhler and his family over there. Exquisite settings to make paper, and Blocker is the kind of latest innovation to come from them. It's called Blocker because within the paper manufacturing process, they have a patented technique of making the paper as opaque as possible. So to put that in perspective, you could probably use a 100-gram uncoated white paper, print a solid black on it, and it will be as opaque in this product as a 170-gram in an alternative uncoated. So you can use a really light paper, print solid colour, and you'll get no show through, which is really important for certain applications like high-end fine art, where you don't want to see any other images coming through, high-end luxury jewelry, where you don't want to see different brands of watches or things coming through. But it also prints incredibly well. So I would say that Mohawk Superfine in our range is just the most exquisite white printing paper we do. This is probably as good as. And we also do this in a 90-gram, which is our lightest uncoated sheet as well. So again, it's something I'd really encourage people to have a look at, if nothing else, just because it's so unique. And this is a swatch that we produced just for this product as well. Some of these other papers, they've been around for a while, so I won't kind of dwell on them too much, but it's the first time in the collection. So Gmund Cotton, we've got in the collection this time round, 100% cotton paper, 6 new colours, 8 new weights, beautiful, comes in a really nice range of weights, actually, a really heavy weight and some really nice blues. So the nice thing about Gmund Cotton, which is unusual, is it's not just white paper. Usually a cotton product would be white. This is a really beautiful range of colours, and that's where it's quite unique. Gmund Gold is in. Gold is just that. It's a range of really dazzling, amazing gold papers. It's one of the products that is used for the envelopes for the Oscars. Has been for a long time, and I think it will continue to be. And what you can see on the gold range is this really light embossing, and you kind of slightly see it on the image on screen. It's ever so fine, but it really helps that kind of gold range sheen in the light. It's a really nice paper. Gmund Heidi, again, not that new, but new into the collection. 100% post-consumer raw material, beautiful product. It's more pulp than it is paper, if I'm honest. Feels really raw and really authentic. 4 colours, 2 weights, perfect for letterpress. Really nice to actually get and see samples of. It comes in a range which includes colours like faded grey and a really nice black as well. It's a really nice product from Gmund too. More from Gmund, the leather embossings. As you can see on screen, it doesn't really need that much explanation, but a range of papers in 12 new colours and 5 new weights, with a range of leather textures, and it feels remarkably like leather in a paper. So what you can see on screen, I think, is peacock. So there's a really nice range of colours that people should look at too. And then I think this is the last one from Gmund, but Gmund Urban is something that we've had for a while, but again, like all these papers, the first time in the collection. Gmund Urban is I don't know how they've done this, but Gmund Urban is a range of papers which are inspired by our urban surroundings. So there's a range called Architect, there's a range with particles of cement dust in. There's a range, as you can see on screen, which is embossed to form wood. And people look at these papers and think that they are quite exclusive, or they're quite expensive possibly, or how do we use these? And a recent example, which was quite interesting for me, is that Asda, for their George clothing range, for their press copies for the lookbook, used a product that's on screen. So there's multiple ways that you can use these papers, and sometimes it's just, you know, what we hope to do is put them in the hands of creative people, so you can imagine more than I about what you can do with them. But Gumund Urban is from that mill is one of the most innovative, I think, paper products I've ever seen. I've never seen anything with particles of cement in before, and literally you would run your hand across the surface of the paper and it feels ever so slightly like just walking your fingertips across concrete. Really, really kind of unique. Yeah, just kind of moving on, we've got a new environmental range from Nina, one of the oldest and most environmentally, I guess, sustainable mills in the States, in Wisconsin. Really nice range of environmental papers in really nice earthy colours. And then I guess just to kind of wrap up the product pieces, we couldn't be Jeff Smith without talking about our kind of Japanese friends over in Tokyo, Takio. We've got some new papers in from them. If you've not seen our Takio ranges and you haven't seen what Takio produce, you really should look them out. I mean, we're really proud to be able to curate their ranges over in the UK. This is some new craft paper from them, 50 gram and a 32 gram. They just feel absolutely beautiful. And they have that very, what I could only describe as the colours of like a grocer's craft. When you get that in a 32 gram and a 50 gram, they're really beautiful to hold. Satagami, that's new for us in 5 new colours and 3 new weights. Feels like an old traditional Japanese washi paper. Again, really, really, really beautiful. Tant Select, probably one of my favourites that we've got in the collection, and we've got 10 new colours in that. What's unique about Tant Select is it's double-sided embossing, and it's got a very, very gentle translucence to it. So it's a product that, you know, it's a luxury paper for a luxury application, but it's one of those papers that, with a lot of the papers in our range, really, I should point out, people think sometimes of our papers, especially when you get into the specialty sections, that, oh, it might be expensive, or there's a, you know, it's too specialist, or whatever it might be. The reality is a lot of the papers in our collection need nothing doing to them. You know, Takio needs no application whatsoever, apart from maybe a small amount of foil or a really small amount of print. It's paper that should be doing the work, really. And it's paper that screams. You know, it's not just like white paper on a desk. You know, these papers really scream, you know, I want to be used, and, you know, you want to touch this kind of paper, you want to feel it. You know, we've got this saying here, which is a little bit cringe, but I'm going to say it anyway. But we've got this saying here that the kind of one eye sees and the other feels. You know, and it's really true, actually, because you're seeing something and you want to feel it at the same time. It's a really interesting way of looking at something sometimes. And this paper range in particular is one that is kind of gets you thinking like that. And then some new embossings as well. So that's kind of it, really, in terms of what's new. And then just touching very briefly, is kind of closing up, really, the new website. We've been wanting to redevelop this for so long. I don't know how people are web designers or web programmers, because the amount of work the agency we used here has had to put into developing a website is incredible. But we're really pleased with it. So a completely new website. It's been completely redesigned from top to bottom. You can see kind of some images here. We've tried to make it so that how you find paper mirrors our collection, and this is where the collection starts to work hand in hand with the website. So the way you would search is exactly the same. We've also tried to make it so that you can search in a multiple number of ways as well. So you can search as you just saw, or actually you can hover your cursor over this color bar, click on a color that might be interesting to you, and we'll display the results. And not only can that, we can recommend colors to you as well based on a palette that you're choosing. So we've really tried to make it something that a designer can use to help specify papers to their clients, and obviously grammages as well. We've also tried for the first time to start talking more about what we do, as well as being a paper company. We obviously do a lot of creative things ourselves. We do a lot of exhibitions. What you can see here is just some examples, really. So what we want to do with this is every time we do something, we'll talk about it. So it might be a new promotion, it might be an exhibition, it might be an art installation that we've designed and curated. But we wanted to create a place online where, as a designer, you could log on and understand how have we produced color directions, what is it, who did we use for the printing, what embossing types have we used, what foils have we used, what dyes have we used. So we just thought that would be a great thing to start doing, and we'll be adding to it as well. And this is one of the kind of recent examples we've done, really, of one of our promotions. And then I guess we couldn't really talk about anything without talking about kind of our international footprint now. We've always been an international business, but we export all around the world. So we've got an area online now where if you've got kind of multinational print requirements, or you want to understand more about our kind of international footprint, you can look there as well. And that's pretty much it, really. Just as a brief overview of what that collection is and some of the new things. I'm a great one for saying, just get your hands on it, contact us, get a collection book, you'll love it, flick through it, but please, yeah, get your hands on the paper to really understand what it's like. But hopefully that's enough of a kind of insight into the new collection.
That's great, Ben. Thank you so much. Well, I've been a huge fan, I'm sure, like many, of GF Smith for a very long time, and seen you evolve in different guises. And I would say that having come back up to Yorkshire and getting to know you and some of the team better, you guys are so open-armed in terms of embracing creatives, ideas, trying to explore different ways and help people to make the best use of your papers. So I think that it's great that you continue to do that and push boundaries. One of the questions I had in particular about some of the things you were saying, obviously you profiled some amazing paper mills. You've mentioned the guys obviously in Bavaria. How do you evolve those relationships with them? Is it quite literally hands-on, or because they're quite long-lasting and continue today? You're kind of catching up regularly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing I would say about us as I'm going to say as a business, but if I can just speak from a personal perspective, we value kind of relationships, and I think, if there's anything that separates us as a business, it's the people who work here, and it's how we want to deal with other people. We're really passionate in saying that if we start a relationship with a paper mill or a supplier or a new customer, then we want that to be long lasting, and we put a huge amount of effort into that relationship, and with people like Gamund, Florian Curler, the owner, flew over recently during all that's been going on, and we managed to have a socially distant dinner, which was slightly bizarre, but we still managed it. And I met up with a supplier briefly earlier on, and it's very different. But yeah, we put a huge amount of effort in, and it's relationship. We'll go over to Bavaria. We'll go to the mills. We went over to the States a bit last year to check out some new paper mills over there, and we'll try and build a relationship with them from the ground up. Yeah, it's been 20 years with Gamund. It's been a long time with Takeo as well. Obviously, one of our major partners is James Cropper up in the Lake District.
Yeah.
And that's a relationship that goes back a very long time. When you're talking about two businesses that have been around since the late 1800s. So yeah, it's a lot of we're a very humble business. You know, we want people to like us, and you know, the way we conduct ourselves and the way we approach relationships is really important. And I'm sure we don't get it right all the time, but we try to.
Yeah, thank you. The other thing I was thinking about, obviously, it's very topical. You mentioned kind of the circular economy and sustainability, and obviously you've been factoring that in with a lot of your papers. How do you see things developing in your industry in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years' time?
I think sustainability as an umbrella headline, if you like, will become much more prevalent. I think it would be something that has to be taken much more seriously. I think it is taken seriously in some instances, but from a personal perspective, I don't think the industry does anywhere near enough to shout about itself in some of the good things that happens. I mean, paper is actually one of the most sustainable organic products that can be used multiple times. That's available for mass production. I mean, the way that forests are managed now, they're replanted and they're dedicated just for paper. It's not coming from anywhere else. And you can see that in the way that I guess the change from plastic to paper-based packaging has come around. What I do think is that we'll be looking at papers that are manufactured from waste materials, possibly. That's something that we've got one eye on at the moment. And I think it is about understanding how the papers that we use and how the products that we source, what the full life cycle impact is. You know, we know that paper is sustainable. There's no question about that. But actually, what we've got to understand more is, well, actually, once paper's used, what happens to that waste, and how can we use that? Well, a bit like we've done with coffee cups in a way.
Yeah.
You know, we can all use waste in a better, more intelligent way. I think it's that less is more concept. We should be looking at waste, and we should be looking at how we can use that, and we should be looking at different ways of owning something as well. And I think that will have an impact on our industry. I think people will start to own things for longer. Yeah. Now, I read something recently, I think it might have been in Creative Review, about Levi's opening a second-hand store.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that there's real legs in that about second-hand and about passing products on and actually about using things in a different way and taking much more care. And I do think that will have an impact on us further down the line in terms of, well, actually, if we produce something colourfully, actually, should we look at getting that back? I don't know. I mean, some of that's impossible, and some of it requires a lot of kind of brainstorming and some stupid ideas. But I think out of it will come something.
And I think that's quite fascinating. You know, some of the work that we've been doing across Design Week, in particular, you know, opening up how, you know, cities can work, how individuals in certain sectors can do things differently. You know, as creatives, how we can help other business sectors, and you know, it is a fascinating area, and I think it'll need some of those crazy ideas as well to then distill into actual solutions. So I appreciate you answering those questions. Just really quickly before we move on to this quick Q&A session that we're doing with each of our amazing speakers. I know you said about people getting in touch. Obviously, we've got professionals potentially listening. who know about you and have interacted with you for a very long time. But how about the kind of students? And I know you do some outreach work with universities and things. How can you help some of the new people into the industry with paper and education?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We've always had a footprint in kind of education. It's a really important area for us. We think one of the things we're missing at the moment is being able to come into universities and even colleges and present about who we are and how to use paper. And what we're trying to do at the moment is be able to do that virtually. I think we've done some virtual things at the moment. And Vanessa, who heads up our kind of student services, is working really hard with our team to make sure that we're still really active with universities and really approachable. So what I would say to kind of anyone who's listening, who's a student, is we're still absolutely here. We're still very much here for drop-in sessions, and we're still here to present to you. You can still absolutely get samples from us in exactly the same way. It's just that we might have to do it virtually for a while. So yeah, we're still very much here for the kind of students.
Great, and obviously, as you said, crack on with the website and have a look.
Yeah,
I still need to look at the new website. So
yeah. Get on the website and get hold of us, and then your local kind of paper consultant will be in touch.
Great stuff. Thank you, Ben. So just to, if some people are dipping in and out of the Sunday sessions, to bind all of the talks together, we're asking each person to answer a couple of questions that relate to the themes of this year's York Design Week. And we've posed those to Ben, but I'm going to look at my other screen and just read those off and hopefully get either a very quick answer or maybe a little bit an open answer to these questions. So the first one is related to activism and being an activist. Do you see yourself as an activist? If so, what is the one thing you'd like to change?
I've asked myself a lot about that question. I don't know the answers you've had from other speakers. Do I consider myself an activist? I'd like to think that I consider myself an activist in some ways. I certainly think that I'm a very proud human being. And I think what I would really like to change is how other human beings treat other human beings. And I don't want that to sound too big or too bold a statement, because I certainly don't mean it like that, because who am I? But I think, you know, what has struck me over recent times is, you know, things like homelessness and walking past people on the street and seeing how other people engage with those people on the street, you know, seeing how we treat people trying to come into the country who are desperate for a life, let alone a better life, just a life. And I think that sometimes I feel really confused about what a human being is. I mean, I think, you know, what makes me any different to someone who's based in France or Germany or Iran or wherever they are? I don't think anything makes me different. I'm still a human being. It's just that I'm here right now, and I think if I could change one thing, it would be, you know, it would just be how the human race treats each other. I just think there's a huge wake-up call that needs to happen about how we treat each other. You know, why someone's on the street, we should be looking at helping that person, shouldn't we? And, you know, understanding what their problems are, and yeah, you know, buying them a cup of coffee and whatever it might be is fine, but we should do that, but we should be not having people on the street. We should be looking at fixing all this big stuff, you know. So there just seems to be so much big stuff wrong.
I think it's quite overwhelming, isn't it? I think you're absolutely right in terms of being a better human being. You know, we try, I think most people would be saying that they try and do that every single day. It's hard to quantify.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes very overwhelming. Where do you start? I think starting sometimes is the hardest thing. You know, the way that, how do you make change? That's a tough question. But I think, yeah, taking it right down to something small, that kindness, that empathy, and then maybe just finding you know, without fake news, just doing some research and finding out, and then seeing where that might lead. So yeah,
I think so. I think just we got to start somewhere, and it just sometimes feels to me like, you know, it's still something that we're not getting right.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that, Ben.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Leading on to play.
Yeah.
Play has shown to release endorphins, improve brain functionality, and stimulate creativity. But there is often a misconception that play is only for children as part of growing up. But how do you play?
Well, I've got 2 children, so I never stop playing. 7 and 4 they are in age. So I would say I never stop playing, really. I enjoy all that kind of stuff. You know, I enjoy chasing after the kids. But yeah, in terms of playing, I'm always trying to do something. If it's not running after the kids, it's, you know, picking up a guitar I'm trying to learn. It's going for a run. I'm a big believer in being outside. You know, I being confined to 4 walls, which I guess we'll come on to in a minute, is not my idea of life. So for me, playing it's just about having a great time in the surroundings outside, and, you know, getting out into the fresh air.
Yeah, absolutely. Can totally resonate with that. So that, yeah, slightly on to the next one, rewild. How do you like to rewild and reconnect with nature and the green space around you?
I think in a couple of ways, really. I think one, as I just said, I love being outside, and it doesn't really matter to me where that is necessarily, but, you know, I love being outside. There's nothing better to me than a great walk, kicking some leaves around, preferably a really long walk, which finishes with a very nice large glass of red wine and a little burning fire at the other end. But yeah, there's nothing better to me than that. Really, I kind of love that kind of, and this is going to sound kind of, this is probably a creative audience, and it's going to sound a very creative answer. I don't mean this, but I love that kind of Scandi, hygge, hygge way of living, being. You know, I think for me that just simple life, just not having too much stuff, living in a very relaxed way, lots of candles, you know, just that just being at one with the world, being at one with nature. I think that's kind of where I am really in life right now.
Good. Yeah, sounds good place to be.
Yeah.
Space. We don't see space as a physical place. People make spaces. What spaces have you created this year, and what space have you found makes you happiest?
God, that's there. I've been thinking a lot about that question as well. The kind of spaces, I think I've made spaces to myself in a number of different ways, if I'm honest. I think I've made mental space. I think I've made mental space because I've been forced to make mental space as a result of everything that's gone on. I think I've literally had to sit down and go, right, I was operating or running around at 100% capacity all the time. And all of a sudden you don't run around at that level because, well, there's not enough to do. And things get a bit stressful maybe because of what's going on in the world. And suddenly you have to go around, you have to sit and just take stock of what's going on. And I think I've made a lot of mental space for myself about just stopping and just actually stopping for 5 minutes and just being, you know. And I think that's the space I've made for myself is one of just stopping and just creating that space here. Yeah, that's what I've done this year.
Do you think you've and this slightly just expansion on this, because I think it's very prevalent, you know, in terms of health and well-being, but have you found that it's helped you in your work and your life? So, you know, have you because of that, you've managed to, you know, breathe and lean into being with the family in a more present way, or you've been more focused at work, or does it just feel like you've got just a bit more space to be able to, you know, get on with the daily?
In terms of having created that
Yeah.
space, yeah. Yes, yes, it has. I think it's made me reevaluate a lot of things. I think it's made me reevaluate, I guess, things that you get accustomed to doing in a certain way, you know, from a work perspective, from a travel perspective. I think you start to ask yourself whether what you're doing does it need to be done that way? And having that space to sit down and go, actually, yeah, I have got time to think about whether I'm doing this in the best possible way for me. You know, that's the first time in a long time I've sat down and thought about things like that. And that's been actually eye-opening, and I would actually say it's been quite nerve-wracking at times, Owen. You know, and
well, there's a bit of doubt, isn't there, or fear around it?
Yeah, and am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Suddenly I'm not jumping on a train down to London at 6 o'clock in the morning and getting home at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I'm getting in at 8:30 and I'm leaving at, you know, 5ish, you know, or later, whatever the time might be. But either way, whether I'm working 6 till 8 or whatever it might be, I'm suddenly not rushing around traveling.
Yeah.
And I think the relationships I've got and how I work have improved because of all that. I think you know, I'm definitely trying to keep in touch with people more and have more kind of at work, trying to have more kind of more clarity on what I'm doing. Yeah,
great. So trust, what do you trust in? A bit of a big one potentially there. But
yeah, I think for me that comes back to being a human being again. I mean, I trust in the people I've got who are close and around me fundamentally.
Yeah.
I always have. I think I always will. I think I'm just that kind of person. You know, I love being around people. I love meeting people, and I think, you know, I'm lucky to have some great people in my life, and I trust in them.
Yeah.
I also trust in gut instinct. And I'm a great believer in that. I'm a great believer in sixth sense, my own sixth sense and my own gut instincts. I tend to find that if something feels off kilter, it's generally going to be off kilter for me.
Yeah.
But I think again, going through the last few months and, you know, since March or going back further, I think I've learned to trust my own instinct, but I've really learned to value the relationships I've got around me.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And finally, share. October the 10th was Mental Health Awareness Day, and we've seen a lot of campaigns around keeping the conversation going this year. This year has been very isolating for many people. Have you had to learn new ways of sharing and opening up?
Yes, probably. I've always been someone, I think, who you know, has always been fairly positive, and I've always been pretty relaxed, and I think even I found the last, I don't know, year probably, or since March, whatever it is. I'm trying to block it out of my memory, if I'm honest, when all this stuff started happening. But I think I found it really challenging. Yeah, and I've not found it easy, and I've had to go through a little bit of a learning curve. And you know, and I'm a great believer in fate and things happening for a reason, like I said before. And I think I've had to learn that actually by, you know, making yourself vulnerable, which to some might come naturally and some might not. It doesn't come naturally to me. But by making yourself vulnerable and putting yourself out there, you can create whatever you want to create. Great relationships. You can change things. You know, we're all in control of our own destinies, and I think sometimes we forget that. You can get dragged along by life, but actually, you know, I learned a long time ago that you've got to take charge of what you're doing, whether that's your career or your personal life or whatever it is. There's only one person in charge of that, and I think the last 6, 7, 8 months, whatever it is, yeah, I've learned to really open up and talk to friends more and speak to friends more, and really value those relationships. You know, I don't think I've seen my parents now for, probably pre-December last year.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time. They're all distant from me. Relationships are changing all the time. You know, and I think it's been a really strange few months in terms of that. But at the same time, you know, you move on, don't you? And you've got to get on with life, you know, and things do happen for a reason. The last few months and things have been really tough, but at the same time, I've got really great things going on in my kind of personal life right now that I didn't expect to happen.
Yeah.
You know, and that's amazing for me. I didn't expect those things to happen, but that's happened during a time where actually things aren't necessarily that great, but that's fab. But yeah, I've learned to open up a lot more.
Yeah, that's great. Ben, thank you so much. Thank you for being candid with the questions and the answers, obviously. We really appreciate it, that you've been involved again this year, as I said at the beginning. From myself and Millie and Laura, who have been curating the York Design Week and Bright Young Things Sunday sessions, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you to GF Smith. And yeah, we hope to see you again very soon.
Thanks, Owen.
I've done it again, Ben.